So you've got a teenager at home and you're looking for a murder mystery, or you're a teenager yourself and you are trying desperately to have a murder mystery for your party at home. Well, can you run a murder mystery as a teenager? Yes. As a parent, yes. The answer is yes. Always yes. We can definitely help. When I set up the company, there wasn't a murder mystery that was out there appropriate for teenagers. There was things going on that teenagers just wouldn't be happy portraying as characters themselves. So as I run a church youth group and the kids were really desperate to have a murder mystery of their own, I said, don't worry, I'll write one for you. Wow, that was like a 6 weeks from hell. But we did eventually manage to get a murder mystery written for the teenagers, and I played it with the parents first to check that it was age appropriate, which it was, and the teenagers had an absolute blast, and they kept coming back asking for another one every year. So this is kind of where the company started from. So when it comes to trying to get games suitable for teenagers, yes, we can help. If you're ever looking for a murder mystery online and you're thinking what kind of game would suit a teenager, I would always say go onto the main page, search by rating. Now, a teen rated game on our catalogue means it's got content ratings that's more appropriate for younger ears. So I've got a few games that our teenagers have played in our church and a few games I know other teenagers have played, not from churches, and they've all really enjoyed them. So I've just brought a couple onto the camera with me today to show you some general ideas. I will start off with Gangsters, Guns and Garters. Now there are a couple of inappropriate things in here, I would say, depending on which kind of teenager you've got. There are two people dating, which some teenagers find awkward. But I have actually run this with my church youth group and they really enjoyed playing this one. I toned it down slightly just so there weren't too many love tangles in there. And that is something that you can do easily at home. So if you find a game and you like the idea of it, but it's a little bit too, dating somebody, you can actually just go into the character background and just take out, I don't want them flirting with somebody. So that's something I did with this one when I ran it with my church youth group, but they really enjoyed the whole Gangsters theme thing. They had a lot of fun with that one. Which Guide Lied is almost down to an everyone rating. It's so clean. There is nothing much in there to worry about. This is an all-girl game, was specifically written with guides and brownies in mind. So if you are looking for a guide or a girl guide or a brownie kind of party or just all girls, this is a great one. Also works really well for camping. Great British Bump Off. So if your teenagers enjoy baking, this might be a nice one for them. It's a nice sort of outdoor setting as well. You can sit around the garden on deck chairs or under a marquee and just have an afternoon tea. That one's really popular. It's got a mix of girls and boys in there, but it doesn't really matter if the kids don't mind dressing up and cross-dressing, then they'll have a lot of fun with that one. This one's been used by a friend of mine. They did it with their teenage daughter who was, I think she was just turning 11. They had an absolute blast with this one, dressing up as nursery rhyme characters. And again, it's mixed gender, but it works really well if you're all girl and then nobody minds dressing up in the wrong gender. So that's a really cool one for teenagers as well. We also have, and again, I've done this one in my church youth group, Murder at the Music Awards. There is one reference to a song lyric by Elton John in here, The Bitch Is Back, which I did take out for my church youth group. So again, if you need to do something like that, you can go into the game and just edit those words out. But yeah, that's a really cool one. They really enjoyed the 80s vibe, getting dressed up in 80s costumes. And we had 80s music on in the background. We had a disco ball and we served up on records. It was a really easy one for theming. So that's a really nice one to do with kids. And 80s is back in again after Stranger Things. That's a steampunk murder. It's gender neutral, which means anybody can play any role and everybody loves dressing up for steampunk. There's loads of fancy dress options for steampunk and it is a nice gender neutral. You can really play anything with a steampunk vibe on it. So I would suggest this one. We've done this one with church youth. We need no amending whatsoever and they had an absolute blast with this one. You Only Die Once. I've done this one with the church youth group as well. And again, we didn't have to edit it out. Everybody's dating the deceased. So in that respect, everything was fine. There was no love tangles across the group. Everybody knows what James Bond is. It's really easy and classic. And we had a lot of fun with that one as well. Now, this is what I mean about sometimes you don't have to worry about the mature and teen ratings. So if you're ever thinking, oh, this one might suit my kids better, give us a call. We can help you. So this one is mature rated on the website, but I know the only reason it's got a mature rating is when it goes up to 12, there's somebody who is definitely setting up affairs. But below 12, it's actually fine for a teen rated party as well. So if you're ever thinking, oh, I'd much rather, I think they'd much rather play that game, but it's got a mature rating on it, do check why it's got a mature rating. You might be totally fine with it. Usually there's nothing worse than an average EastEnders. So Murder at Gatsby Manor is a classic one with all the classic styles in there for Gatsby, but it is gender neutral, so anybody can play any role. We actually created this during the pandemic, which is why it's called An Isolated Case. At some point we'll rename it and do some more work on this game, so you may see it back as kind of a big brothery vibe game. And this one works between 4, 5 and 6 players. Again, it's gender neutral, and again it was designed with the pandemic in mind, which meant everybody was in lockdown. They had to play with their kids and their parents whether they wanted to or not. So it's a perfect game for that. It's a nice easy play and totally clean.